Greetings to all. Hoping everyone watching this video has a wonderful time and enjoying the moments. So in today's video, I am going to be showing you a quick video, an example on how to carve a maxillary central incisor. Now, before I begin this video, I have to put a disclaimer that I'm not a dentist yet. I am simply just making a video for my friends to gain some insights and knowledge from this video. Anyways, so the first thing we need is a wax block, and the first thing we're going to do is just measure out some important things. As you can see from the Atlas of Tooth Anatomy for the maxillary central incisor, the crown should be 10.5 millimeters, length of it should be 13, so on and so forth, but we're going to add a millimeter or 2 millimeters extra for all of the measurements here. And don't worry, I'm going to be measuring everything with the video, so stay tuned. So I'm just going to quickly put my camera back, and the first thing we're going to need is a ruler, okay? Now, this metallic one will do best for me, so I'm going to quickly just draw the cervical line that divides the crown and the root. We're going to want it to be about at least 10.5, but I suggest maybe 11 or 12, so we're just going to measure to 12, just in case, okay? We can always carve out the extra portion later on, but for this case, make it 11 or make it 12, up to you. So I'm just going to draw a straight line. It has to be straight because if it's not, then it's not going to be very helpful later on. And even if you make a mistake, it's okay. You can always draw it again. It doesn't matter. So we're going to do it for all four sides. I suggest using a ruler for all four sides because usually if you just eyeball it and draw it by hand, a lot of the times actually, it's not going to be a straight line. So just use a ruler to measure it precisely, and yeah. Now as you can see, we have made a 11 or 12 millimeters square. Make sure it's either 11 or 12 millimeters. If you can also do 10.5, but you're most likely going to make a mistake. So try to carve extra, just make extra and take extra, just in case. We can always carve if it's extra, so make sure you also use a toothbrush to clear it. Now the next important thing is to draw another line which is at minimum 13 millimeters. However, for this video, I'm going to make it either 14 or 15 millimeters between here and here. But be careful, just like the other one, make sure you are very precise. And I'm going to show you what to do later on. So I'm just going to quickly try to measure about 14 or 15 millimeters. So number 8, that's one momento. Hold on. I'm gonna use this part. That's gonna be about here. So yeah, you want to draw a line and do everything slowly, but don't rush. If you rush, you're gonna mess up, so be slow. So as you can see, for the root, this is gonna be the crown. This is going to be the crown, this is going to be the root. Now we're just going to cut off this piece by simply slicing it, but slicing it carefully. We're not going to cut too much. We're just going to cut equally from each side, very slowly, and until it eventually cracks up. See? It cracked up. But don't worry, we have an extra few centimeters here, so it doesn't have to be straight. We're just going to carve it later on. I'm just going to carve a little bit, very, very gently, very gentle knife movements. Okay. I'm going to just cut off this piece a little bit. That's it. You don't need to worry about that. In fact, you don't even need to worry about it. Just you can throw this piece away. Now we have all that we need to work on. Now, the first step of carving a tooth, you don't have to worry about lingual, mesial, so on and so forth. For now, this is also with the help of the Dr. Jihad steps. He told us what to do, so I'm following his technique. So there are many techniques. So the first thing you want to do is you want to hold the knife like this, and very gently, you want to make a 2 millimeter deep thing, but without passing this line. Remember that cervical line? We're not going to go after this. We're going to keep 2 millimeters here near the line. It doesn't have to be exactly 2 millimeters, but you shouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, we're almost there. It doesn't have to be precisely 2 millimeters, but just around that. Like, we're gonna cut it a little bit more deeper. See? It needs to be a bit more deeper as well. Don't cut it too deep though. Other techniques, sometimes just cut it 2 millimeters in the line. So it's approximately 2 millimeters. Let's clear that out. As you can see, very beautiful. Now we're going to carve this portion to be the same elevation as this one. Same elevation, same height. So you can do it, you can start cutting aggressively first, but then you have to be slow. You have to be very gentle. We're not going to worry about mesial or distal right now. This is either going to be mesial or distal. We're going to decide later on. For now, we're just going to carve. We don't have to worry. Very smooth. Smooth, gentle, light, and back. You can cut it however you want, and I'll show you what it should look like in the end. Okay, as you can see, we're getting closer. 2 minutes has passed after the cutting, so we're just going to do very gentle. Make sure that this side is the same as this side, so we don't have any indifferences, but you can do this by just moving very slowly. Not rushing, and focusing on this area. Okay, now that's done. So what we will do now is we will round this corner a bit. Now here is where you can decide if you want this to be mesial or distal. If you want this to be mesial, you want it to be rounded a little bit. If you want this to be distal, you want it to be very much rounded, like heavily rounded. I want this to be, let me check. I want this to be distal. Okay, I want this side to be distal for me, and I want this side to be mesial. So if I want it to be distal, this means it has bigger curvature. So I'm just gonna get my book here ready. So as you can see, it should have this huge curvature. This one has a sharp curve, this has a smooth curve. So we're gonna make the smooth one. And the way you can do this is by gentle movements. Light, gentle movement without rushing. So just very light. I'm not even pushing at all, just very, very light, and requires patience. You will have to move your hands a bit as well. And also the surface, make sure the surface is visible. And don't be very picky, just very lightly. Not harsh, not picky, like, you're worried about, oh, if I make this and, oh, it must be like this, like a very picky eater. But just light brush. Say Bismillah, you'll be fine. Boy, okay. Don't carve it too much. Just a nice round. See? This is very nicely rounded. It's not too much, it's not too little, it's enough. Just a little bit more finishing. Making this side as well, making sure this side is equal. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing we did here to here, but we're not going to round this one yet. We're just going to cut 2 millimeters like the first one, but it should not go beyond this, just about here. So I will do this by holding it at a 45-degree angle and slowly puncturing it. Slowly puncturing it. I'm not going to go beyond the line. Okay. 2 millimeters. It doesn't have to be 2 millimeters exactly, just like the first one, the first cut we made, just about enough. See, this is, let me check. A little bit more. And also, please don't tell your doctor it's because of this video or that video. It's your fault. I don't know. This is just for my friends. This is not for you. It's for you to get an example of. It's not my problem. Very slowly. Okay, very nice. So what we will do is make sure all the sides are equal. Okay, perfect. Now this is very good. Now, as you can see, we're gonna make this part the same elevation as this part, as this 2 millimeters that we've made, but very smoothly and very gently without rushing. It will take you maybe 6 minutes, so I'll do it. Okay, I cut a bit too much, but it's okay. Don't cut too much like I did. Now, because we did this major curve, we're gonna have to do the minor curve, the small curve. As you can see, we have the major curve here, and we have the smaller curve here. We're gonna do the smaller one, just very lightly and gently. So, no force, no pressure, nothing, just light. Very lightly, no pressure at all, just using the force of our thumb very simply. No force, actually not even any force, just sliding, just friction actually, just smoothing everything out. Okay, looks good to me, I guess. Now, what we're going to do now is make the root. As you can see, it should look something like this. You can see the large curve here and the smaller curve here. Now we're gonna make the root. The way we're gonna make the root is using this instruction. So as you can see, with the smaller curve, the root is more like this. It goes much more like a bent shape, much more convex, while this one to the larger curve is more concave. Not concave, it's much more straight, linear. So which one is the smoother one? Whichever one is the smoother one, we're gonna make it more linear. But before that, we need to make a midline. You can use a ruler, but I'm just gonna use my feelings, unfortunately. This should be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect 100% accuracy, but the line has to go from like this part, which is the smooth one, much more straight or linear to this line. Okay, so we're gonna draw it very carefully. Okay, redefining the features. Okay, very good. Actually, okay, now for this other one, we're gonna make it much more curvature, have it more curvature, which is gonna be whoop. It doesn't look so good, but you get the idea. It should be much more bent. As you can see, it should be much more bent. It doesn't really. I don't really see it as that. And if you make a mistake like I did here, you can just draw it over this side, which I will. Right now, let me make first you have to draw the midline. Oops. Okay, this one, because it's bent, it should have a much more linear line. Okay. That's good, as you can see, and because of this one is not as bent or thing, it should be much more it should be much more bent. Okay, see? This is perfect. This is really good. It's not perfect, but it's really good. I don't like to say perfect. Okay, I'm not a teacher or a doctor, so don't take my word. Now, we're going to carve slowly until it reaches this line. We're going to start off by having a rough cut first. Be careful. I don't suggest you doing this, but I do it because I am not patient. I really suggest you doing it smoothly like this, very smoothly. But see, my problem is I'm not patient. And when you are not patient, you make mistakes. Okay. Be careful. We're gonna try to reach this line, like be alongside with this line. Okay, you want to do it like this, very slowly, very gently. No force. And also, most importantly, make sure that this side is the same as this side. So if you can look through it, you can see it's not even. There are some parts of this side which are not equal to the front side. And you can do this by just cutting the front, like, you know, just equal sides. See, this is along this line. We're just gonna smoothen out a little bit. Don't be rough, be gentle. And don't mind those spots, it's okay. Depending on where you are. For us, it's okay. As you can see, this part is done. I'm just gonna smoothen out everything a little bit. I suggest you do that. To make sure everything is in nice. See? Looks beautiful. Now, we're gonna do it this side as well. First off, you can oh my god, my hat. First, you can cut it like slowly, like, you know, you can cut it slowly. You want it to meet this line. You want it to be exactly like this line. So I'm gonna cut off the extra parts a little bit. So we're gonna cut slowly until it matches this line. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Is this 8.5? Let me check. Okay. We're going to, I just measured it. The crown is perfectly 8.5, so we should not cut the crown in any circumstance. We're going to slowly, as you can see, I'm carving this, and I'm going to tell you something I've seen a lot of my friends make mistakes in. See, this goes along the line perfectly. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is this side is much more different than this side. Now, this side, for example, let me show you. Okay, see, this side here is more different than this side. So we have to make sure that all the sides are equal, because if they're not equal, it will not turn out perfect. They should be cut equally. Now, the way you cut them equally is, like I said, you cut them like this. Smooth, fast, non-force shearing pretty much. You have to be very gentle. See? It's very good. Make sure that this side, the way you see this side, is exactly like this side. Don't mind this line, by the way. Just make sure you cut the line and everything. Now, you want to, just do it very smoothly. Make sure you clean this area just for your own thing, for your own convenience. As you can see, if this is equal to this side, then this should also be almost a line, a good line. You can smoothen out and make like a sharp tail, sharp root, sharp apical. It's called an apical, by the way. You can just make it without drawing a line. Just make sure it's sharp, make sure it's equal on all sides. See? It looks not bad, it looks good. Make it a little bit more sharper. So this is the basics. Now you can begin making your face and so on and so forth. Hope you enjoyed this.